Roll. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast, where we are doing a land clearing live stream every single Friday with my friend Jacob from Land Clearing Growth and Rise Online Ads. Jacob, welcome to the show. What are people going to learn today?
Thank you, sir. We're going to learn how to stop losing jobs that you shouldn't.
Fantastic. Well, you just did a great presentation yesterday inside of your school group, and you posted a video on your YouTube channel where you walk people through the sales process from your Titan group. You want to give a quick overview about what Titan group, what that is, and then why y'all are diving into sales so deeply right now?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So the Titans is our highest level of service, basically our most successful, most driven, most valuable in my eyes clients. And I have sort of upgraded them to a tier where we're meeting in small groups and meeting one-on-one and really going deeper on where they're at and where they're going and how we can solve their constraint and bottleneck to grow their business. And what the reason I'm focusing on so much on sales is because after analyzing thousands of land clearing businesses, it is very apparent that sales is the number one constraint on active land clearing companies being able to grow where they want to be. Obviously, we know starting a business, there's lots of things going into that. But in terms of guys already running machines, making money, trying to grow, sales is the number one constraint.
Fantastic. And you hit on a lot of good points. I was just listening to your video this morning, and what I realized is that you're coaching guys on a lot of the same principles that we are doing our sales training on. And so I believe this conversation, if you are an owner, operator of a land clearing, forestry mulching, fire mitigation, tree removal business, if you're an entrepreneur, Jacob and I are going to talk about this in the context of land clearing and fire mitigation because those are the businesses that we are in. But if you're a creative entrepreneur, you can take these processes and you can go and apply these to your blue collar business. Do you want to add anything on that?
I don't think so. I agree with you. I love that. I think we're deep into the land clearing, machine operating space, but a lot of these principles are general sales principles. And one of the things I loved, a quote that I kind of dropped in there is like, a lot of people don't want to sound like a salesperson. I have fell for that trap before. But when you say that, what you really mean is you don't want to sound like a legitimate business. Billion-dollar businesses follow some of these very core principles, and that's the reason they are where they are. I'll leave that at that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we've got a slide deck to share over here today. So stick with us if you are joining live here, as the format is going to be new for us. Jacob, can you see the slide deck that we have here?
Yes, sir. I've got you.
All right. Fantastic. How about now if we go to this?
Still got you.
Different. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the sales system. And what we talked about early on was we've got to figure out how to stop losing jobs that you should be getting. So what Jacob is going to help us cover today and break down is what to do when leads come in, how to book site visits, and then also how to follow up like a pro. And then I wanted to add this Q&A format specifically for guys who are joining live. Some of you who have been jumping on have been posting your questions in the chat. But what I want you to think about whenever you're asking a question, think about your goal. In regards to sales, where do you want to be this year in 2026? And then 2, what's the actual problem? Like, what do you think the problem is that you're currently dealing with in regards to sales? Number 3, I want you to think through what the solution is. And then 4, because of all of this, what is your question? And the reason I want to follow this format is because I want you to actually think through what your goal is, what the problem is, and what you think the solution is. And then Jacob and I are here. We are absolutely happy to jump on and provide our feedback and what we think about the situation. So we are here to help. Here's why most guys lose jobs that they should win. It's not because of price, it's not quality, it's not work ethic. It's because you don't have a process and you don't have a follow-up system. And what I love about Jacob is that he puts these principles into application inside of his own business. And so Jacob's going to share a couple different bullet points in regards to the process that he's created and that he's sharing with the Titans group as well. So what Jacob talked about in the video was that there are sort of 3 laws of sales here. And those 3 laws of sales are: 1, speed wins. You need to have a 5-minute speed to lead and a 72-hour. Do you call it a quoting system or a booking system, Jacob?
I like to call it the 72-hour booking machine.
Okay. 2, you want to control the call. You lead, they follow. And 3, there's no lead left behind. 10 to 15 touches minimum. Now, Jacob, let's break down the bullet points here. So let's start with speed. Speed to lead. Take us through what you recommend whenever the lead comes in.
100%. So you've said this before, and I love it. If they are not shocked or saying, wow, that was fast when you answer the phone, then you're not calling them fast enough. That's the response you should want. And that's just us following buyer behavior. When people are clicking, filling out a form, looking around, you got to get on them quick to keep that momentum going. You have to. So under 5 minutes is what I call the SLA, the service level agreement. We're not going under 5 minutes. If you can get within 60 seconds, that's where you get that Harvard Business Study 391% increase in conversions. So brownie points for under 60 seconds, shoot for 5 minutes. And the kind of asterisk on that is phones nowadays, everyone's got them on do not disturb. And you need to be bare minimum double dialing. And for the last few weeks, I've been testing triple dialing, which sounds spammy and crazy. But what I'm noticing is on that 3rd ring or that 3rd call, they answer the phone and they didn't even know I called the other 2 times. So it's not like I'm blowing them up and they're answering. And then those few people who don't have their phone on do not disturb, usually if you call twice, they're like, okay, this is legit. And they answer. Double dialing drastically increases phone pickup rates. Triple dialing, I'm still testing it, but it's been working for me.
I love that. And whenever I was listening to your video, I was like, man, this resonates so much. Another thing that we did early on was I would get multiple Google business profile numbers with different Gmail addresses, and I would just call leads from different numbers.
Yes.
Like if they didn't answer on one, then I would call from another local area code that was close.
Yep.
Same thing, same principles apply, right? It's like call, text, and then do it again with the other number. To your point about do not disturb, I mean, I'm guilty of this because the reality is we live in an age of distractions, consistent distractions, notifications all the time. And if you want to actually move your business forward as an entrepreneur, at a certain point, you got to sit down, put your head down and go to work. And if you're answering every phone call, message, or, email or notification from your friends on social media, you're not going to move the business forward. So everybody has their point as to why they walk around with do not disturb on. In order to get through, Jacob makes a really good point. I think I heard you say that there are settings on people's phones that they can set it up for 2 calls or 3. So you're still testing the triple call, correct?
Yeah, because you can set it either way. Like if they ring more than once or if they ring more than twice, that the call gets through. And so once I realized that, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna triple dial, see if it works. And it was crazy. Like 5 in a row, people were like, hey man, how's it going? Like as if I didn't just call 2 times in a row.
Okay, so what do you do whenever you get the people on the phone? What's the script there?
Well, you made a great point. You need to have a script. If you haven't been doing this for a bunch of years, you need to have a script. If you have been doing this for a bunch of years, you need to have a script because you need something to follow. And when you change something, you need something to track. So if you just like randomly start doing all these different things on the phone, you'll never know what's working better than the next thing. So you need to have a foundation. And then we talked about this in the Titan group yesterday when it comes to hiring somebody, if you don't have a script or way of doing things, it's going to be way harder to show them what you do and how to do it and to make sure they're doing the right thing. Now in that document I put out a very short script example, but that's how it should be. Very short, sweet, to the point, good tone. That's a huge thing. It's tonality. And I think for the blue collar world, we kind of got to ride a line between like sounding like a front office lady and sounding like a blue collar dude with a cigarette and coffee in his mouth. And so my favorite one, you say their name first, which in this is everything I'm talking about today is assuming that you have lead flow already to some degree, and you're getting a little bit of information about this person before you're calling them. That's the ideal position. And also, ideally, they would have gotten some kind of automated text, which again will increase pickup rates because their phone will tell them, hey, maybe this is Jacob with Rise. But my short little thing is you say their name first, then you say your name, who you are, why you're calling, and you say, is now a bad time or is now a terrible time. So here's an example. Hey, Austin, it's Jacob with Rise. I just saw your form come in. Is now a terrible time to talk? You could add just a hair in there. Like, Austin, it's Jacob with Rise. I just saw your form come in wanting to learn about getting some more land clearing jobs. Is now a terrible time? You'll get a way better response. The chances of them saying yes to is now a terrible time versus them saying no to is it a good time or did I catch you at a good time? It's just a little tweak that really works because it's like psychologically people are just not going to be like, oh yeah, it's a terrible time unless it truly is. And then in that case, schedule a time to talk to them later. But if they answered the phone, it's like they're probably not covered in hydraulic oil right now.
The probability of people to say no is much greater than the probability of them saying yes. It's simple human psychology. People want to say no, and they are more likely to say no. So Jacob covers a great point here. This is something that our sales guy talks a lot about whenever he came in and helped us improve our sales process. That thing specific is a small detail, but it can have drastic results as to whether or not the call continues. So to recap for people, what's the learning lesson here? The learning lesson is to frame it to get the people to say no. Can you also say, are you opposed to discussing this now? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's most about the frame. Anything else you want to add on the script for you call me? Hello?
Say that one more time.
You're calling me. I filled out your form. You're calling me. Hello?
Hey, Austin, it's Jacob. I just got your form from Facebook of you wanted to get some more land clearing jobs. Is now a terrible time to talk?
Oh, wow. Yeah, just filled out the form. No, it's good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'd just like to ask you a few questions about what you have going on, where you're at, where you want to be, and kind of see if it would make sense for us to talk more. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
And that last part, does that sound good? That's kind of you could go back and forth there. You could maybe want to try to get him to say no again. You could do what Keller's 5 just recommended. It's like, are you opposed to that? And then hopefully, you're going to say no. And I'm going to be like, awesome. Yeah, I just kind of want to know, like, it looks like, you're showing to be in Winter Park, Colorado. What you got going on there? How many machines do you have? What's your revenue right now? What problem are you trying to solve by clicking on my ad?
And so, guys, Jacob's obviously framing this inbound lead phone call in the context of him working with potential clients who are filling out his form. For you, the same principles apply. Hey, it's Austin with Bear Claw. I just saw that you filled out the form. Is right now a bad time? That's all you have to say when you call the lead.
Oh yes, sorry. I went. See, this is how well I know my script. I went straight into it. I should have done it more from a land clearing perspective. Like, hey, I just saw you filled out your form to get some property cleaned up over there in Winter Park. Are you located over there by insert local landmark?
Safeway.
You over there by Safeway, it looks like?
Oh yeah, we're just right up the hill.
Perfect, perfect. I know exactly where you're at. Well, if you're not opposed to it, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the property. That way I can give you a price range. And if it makes sense, I'd love to come walk the property to make sure you don't overpay.
Ooh, that's key right there. Love that. Love that. So let's break that piece down a bit. What did you say and why?
So the big why is you want to control the conversation. You don't want to be like, hey, what you got going on over there? Because that's when you get well, back in 1984, my grandparents. No, you have to control the conversation, and it needs to be quick. The goal of this is not to sell your service. It's to sell the on-site estimate. Qualify and sell the on-site estimate. That's what you're shooting for. So a quick little, like, you know what you're talking about. Oh, you're over there by the Safeway. Okay, awesome. It looks like you put on the form here you got 4 acres. I just want to ask you a few more questions about that so that I could give you a price range. And if that price range makes sense, I'd love to come give you an on-site estimate to make sure you don't overpay. Reason for that is qualification. Now, if they put 100 acres or something where it's like, these people are going to have the money and it's a job size that you want, you could skip some of that if you wanted to and just go straight for the on-site estimate. But if it's kind of you're not sure if it's in the range of job that you want, or you're not 100% sure they have the budget, which is going to be the majority of your leads, then you want to qualify. And so you qualify by giving them value. The value you're giving them is a price range, which is what they want.
Fantastic. So we've covered this second point that you've hit. Control the call. The first point, speed wins. Call your leads as fast as humanly possible. How do you do this? You have a simple automation set up with a system, either Zapier.com. If you want to go set it up, you can watch YouTube videos on how to do that, or use a more robust system like Jacob and I do. My system is built on top of Go High Level. Jacob's system is built on top of Go High Level. It's all the same principle, but you need to have an automation that lets you know when people fill out the form. And when you do that, you can send name, you can send email, you can send phone number. And guess what? Whenever you text that information right here to your phone, if you are handling sales, that phone number comes in as a link that is easily clickable. So when I say 5 seconds, sometimes I don't think people believe me. When I was doing sales, it was 5 seconds. Like, this is the most important piece in your business if you are still doing sales. There are no excuses with today's technology. If you're calling leads slow and you're not getting the holy crap, that was fast, you're too slow. And we will get to a point later on here that will show some statistics on people who take this serious. And look, this is the point I want to hammer in. This is how you win in your market. You can go get the leads, right? Like, you could just go hire Jacob right now and you get leads. You check box. Like, that's easy. Getting the leads, like, there is a solution out there. Jacob can bring you leads, right? It's up to you whether you call your leads fast or not.
Can I drop 2 points there?
Yeah.
We have guys in our system that get the same amount of leads, same quality of leads, same capacity, same machines. One's doing 200 to 300,000. One's doing multiple 7 figures. The only difference is sales. That's how important this is. So you start wondering, like, oh yeah, I do call my leads fast. Or these guys tell me that they call every lead, and I look and they call them once, maybe twice. They text once, maybe twice. So you have to do this. And it's the biggest difference. And then one little hack I want to give you guys, because I know a ton of you are out in the field, and it can sometimes be hard to hit that, like Austin said, 5-second thing. Now, I have always worn an Apple Watch, so whether it was my business currently or my previous business, if I see new lead, and I always set my automations up where it's like, new lead, contact now. If I see that pop on my watch, it doesn't matter if I'm on a roof, it don't matter if I'm under a vehicle, it doesn't matter. I called them. And I saw this pitfall when I hired employees, and the sales dramatically changed when I was not the one doing it because of that. Now, that's still my fault because I didn't implement the system and process to make sure they were doing what I was doing. But the point I bring up is when you use a little more nicer of a system, you have options. And on high level and most of the comparable CRMs, there's an automation called Call Connect. So this, what it is accountability. So you get a lead, but you're busy, you're distracted, you don't notice it for whatever reason. But you would probably notice a phone call. And a lot of you are like this. You'll notice a phone call, you won't notice a notification. You can have it set where when a lead populates, somebody fills out the form, it immediately calls your phone, the system, and you can have it tell you, you say hello, and it's like, hey, you have a new lead, Austin in Winter Park wants 4 acres cleared with a brief description of this. Press 1 to call him, and then you press 1, and it just immediately starts calling the lead. So it's like accountability for yourself. It's just a neat trick for those guys that have don't have time, but you can have technology help you out.
We're getting fired up here. We're covering some good stuff. I love it. I love it. Let's keep rolling. All right, we got a slide deck here. We're improving here on the Land Clearing live stream. Every week we improve a little bit by a little bit. All right, the last bullet point here on this slide deck: no lead is left behind. 10 to 15 touches minimum. I heard you tell a story about a high ticket job that was closed over the course of a longer period of time. Can you tell that story?
Yes, sir. Yeah. $500,000 job in North Texas that took 2 years to close. Imagine, like I hear guys say, like if they don't want it done in the next month, they're not serious, and they just trash the lead. Imagine if he would have done that for this. He would have lost 500 grand. He had to keep up with this. This guy didn't keep up with him. He had to keep up with the client, and he had to remember that. Now, ideally, you use technology to help you with this, but this gentleman did it manually for 2 years, and he didn't know the job was going to be 500 grand. He knew it was a decent sized job. He did not know it was going to be that big, but he kept up with it, and it paid off.
Yeah, I love it. And Steve chimed in here. He said a text message he used, or he used to send from Facebook lead ads that crushed. Hey, Austin, this is Steve from Bear Claw. Just got the info you submitted about your property. Can I ask you a few questions to see if we would be a good fit to help you? And Steve just exited a home service business. I talked to him last week, built it up, sold it to private equity. And he said one thing that was very important whenever he came in, bought the business, was he simply answered the phone and he blocked and tackled on following up with leads. Ask permission to ask questions. He said, you get lots of yeses to that question. Love that. Love that.
Yeah. Great insight.
Okay, let's keep rolling here. Everybody on this call is probably asking, well, okay, this is cool, Jacob, thanks for sharing this, but can this work for me? And this is who this works for. If you're a solo owner operator, if you're getting started, you should be calling your leads fast. You should be following up. If you're an owner operator with 1 or 2 crews, you should be calling your leads fast. You should be following up. If you're an owner with crews, project managers, sales reps, back office, you should be calling your leads fast and following up like an absolute madman. It's the same principles. There's just a little bit of slightly different implementation based on whether you're the one doing it or whether you're holding someone else accountable to doing it. I don't know if you guys heard me on this slide, but it is so unbelievably important to call your leads fast and follow up like a madman. Now, Jacob, what happens? Why would somebody who's a land clearing operator or a blue collar business owner be opposed to following up with leads more than 1, 2, 3 times? What do you think some people think in their head about that?
They don't think it's worth their time. They, whether consciously or subconsciously, they become prideful and egotistical about it. It's like, man, I don't have time for this. If they're serious, they'll come back to me. Wrong. That is so wrong. And I've been on both sides of it as the consumer, as the salesman in multiple businesses, and I've seen the detriment of it in land clearing businesses of guys that act like that. And the other thing is people built their business on word of mouth and referrals, and those jobs are easier to close. And they think they're good at sales because of that. And they might literally be decent at face to face closing the job. They might. But this piece getting to that point from them interested to you giving them an estimate on site, that's what most guys are atrocious at. Now, there is a whole other piece of guys who don't understand handling objections, don't understand spouse stuff. We can get into that. But if you don't solve this part, none of that really matters.
This is an area you can control. This is an area you can control. Another thing that I see, and I'm glad it looks like Tiffany jumped on. Hey, good morning, Tiffany. They say they don't want to be annoying, and if it's a good lead, they shouldn't have to chase it. That's a big thing I see guys say, like, I don't want to annoy the customers. And Cam Bodden, he was the founder of Green Mango Pest Control. I believe he had a north of $100 million exit recently. I'm in his coaching group called the 1% Club, and something he talks about a lot is the follow-up process for the process that they built at Green Mango and other companies he's associated with. If you guys have heard of Tommy Mello, I believe that Cam got coached by him early on and implemented a lot of the same systems. Follow up like an absolute madman, like your life and business depends upon it. Why? Because it does. The livelihood of your business depends on whether you can drive sales or not.
Yep.
And one thing that he said that I loved was that they implemented was a simple just video text. Like if you're not getting response on text or you're not getting response on call, hey, it's awesome with Bear Claw. I just want to send you a quick video. I looked up the details of your form, and it looks like you've got a property up there by Safeway. I just want to ask you a couple quick questions. Just let me know when you have a few minutes. Does that work? Great. And the personalized text, especially in this age of AI, when they can see that they're dealing with a human, can help you convert well.
Absolutely. And that's why I love that automated text to go out, because then you can send a personalized text and it really differentiates it. But that video, oh my gosh. If guys would do that, that would be a game changer. We do that. But convincing land clearing guys to do that, maybe we can convince them today, would be huge for sure. But I love what you said. I love what you said about the personalization side, but you said something else there that I was about to say. Man,
Oh, man. It's a Friday morning. Hey, pour another cup of coffee. Let's rock and roll. If you're listening, go get another cup of coffee. We're going to take action on this call.
yeah,
We'll come back to that. If it pops in your head, let us know. We're going to keep moving. 7-step sales process. Let's rock. So next up, we got step 1. You talked about this, Jacob. This was something I did early on whenever I was owner operating. When you're owner operating, you're pushing the boulder uphill and you're the one calling all the leads and you're booking the jobs and you're showing up for the site visit, you're selling on site, and then you're mobilizing your equipment and you're getting to the job, and then you're getting in the skid steer and you're cranking all day, and then you get another call and you have to go rinse and repeat the process. It can become overwhelming fast. Okay. This was something that I love that you said in your video, Jacob, that we did early on. Time block the sales portions. Either time block it during the day or block off different days of the week to allocate towards booking estimates. This is one of the most challenging phases of the 0 to 1 million phase. Like you've got to do all the work that at least 3 people need to be doing, but you don't have the cash and the resources to hire for it yet. There's this weird trigger, and Owen out in St. Louis area is crushing it at this. Okay. It's just tenacity. It's effort. He came out, we went snowmobiling another day, and he talked a lot about how he is just putting a tenacious effort towards making all of it happen. But this is one trick that some of you can use. So Jacob, how do you recommend guys time block your sales day?
Definitely. I mean, as soon as you are awake, ideally your automated system was hitting things in the night. But as soon as you're awake, start hitting people, block some time for that because, like you said, you get out the door, guys are there, machines, trucks, fuel, maintenance, getting to the job, loading, unloading, all this stuff. All of a sudden, it's 9, 10 o'clock, and your day's rolling. You got to get this job done so you can get paid. Block some time in the morning for that. Block some time in the evening for that. But fortunately, if you're the man with the plan, you've got to find a way to still talk on the phone. And I know y'all can do it. I talk to guys every day. As soon as I answer the phone, all I hear in the background is and it's either the motor humming or the mulcher humming. Um, you can do it. Like it's fine. And to the little plus point there, if there's nearby estimates, you need to jump on that. I mean, most of y'all cover broad areas. And so if you're an hour away from home and this estimate pops up that's, only 20 minutes from where you are now, get them in there, dude. Like the faster you can do that. And then most of mobilization takes time and money. If you could somehow sell that job to be next and you don't have to move your machines as far, holy cow, win-win. But you wouldn't know that if you waited till you got home to call them. I did remember the 2 points if you want me to hit them real quick.
Yeah, rock and roll.
So with the calling the leads and the annoying part, there's only two things that are going to happen. Worst case, which happens very infrequently, is they're going to tell you to stop or they're going to say no, which is what you want. You want a yes or a no as quick as possible. And if they tell you no or they say stop, boom, get them out of the pipeline. That's less you have to do, less you have to worry about. The faster you could get to the no, if it's going to be a no, the better for you and your sales pipeline. Or they're going to say yes. That's the worst thing that could happen. So just do it. Don't worry about being annoying. They raised their hand. They opened the door. Do your due diligence. It's your responsibility. The other thing I just wanted to note that we talked about heavily in the Titans call is, and you kind of touched on it, but solving sales will solve a lot of other problems. People talk about machine breakdowns and profit and all of these things. Well, guess what? Revenue solves a lot of these problems. If you have extra revenue, you can solve more problems and you can solve them faster. It's not the end all be all, but it does help you solve more problems faster.
You got to drive sales early on. You got to drive sales later on. You got to drive sales always. It's the lifeblood of the business. The last thing I'm going to hammer on this, some of you are like, man, I'm not a technology guy. I'm not a computer guy. We live in 2026. Figure it out. Wake up earlier, allocate time to figure this stuff out. Because if you're not going to do it, you're going to get dominated by somebody who is great on the computer and great at operating. It's just the case in point. There is no longer this age of the blue collar business owner who is not tech savvy. Okay, maybe it exists right now with some of the older guys in the generation, but if you're going to compete at the highest level in today's day and age and you're still making the excuse that you're not tech savvy, it's time to figure it out. So wake up earlier, put a system in place, even if it's as simple as a spreadsheet. Jobber's a great system for this early on. And then for the more the guys further along, go high level, which is what Jacob and I both use, can help automate, but you got to keep track of the sales pipeline and understand where your leads are at in the buying phase. Figure out the technology. That's all I'm going to say on this. Wake up earlier if you have to. You quit your corporate job to work 40 hours a week with a steady paycheck to work 80 hours a week and make less money in the early days. That's what you signed up for. Once you accept that, you just understand that you have to do things that are not comfortable.
Yes. Two things there. If you are staunchly against it, you could just fork out a salary and pay people for it, but you're gonna spend a lot more money than if you were to just learn the skill yourself initially. And the other thing, you see so many people on Facebook, especially, talk about how they built their business and how they're busy, word of mouth, referrals only, et cetera, et cetera. And I get it; it is possible. But what you said about being beat by guys who are good at the work and the computer and the technology. Think about 20, 30 years from now, right? So these guys, they built their business when technology was either not here or new, and they're kind of riding that wave. But I have talked to, just in the last month, multiple guys who know guys making millions a year doing land clearing with no online presence, very little technology. And they see that as an opportunity for them to come in and destroy the market and take a massive market share just because they know how they could utilize technology to do way better than this guy who's only made a couple million not using it. That's how these guys are looking at it. They're coming in with capital and they're ramping up to millions right out the gate, which took this guy years to build on word of mouth and referrals. And where's that guy going to be in 10 years from now? He's going to be doing probably 8 figures, while the word of mouth referral guy who's posting in the Facebook comments is still making the same amount of money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So step 2, we've already covered this first contact script. You want to do a quick recap on this? Hey, John, it's awesome with Bear Claw. You just reached out about that property up by Safeway. Is now a terrible time. Anything else you want to add on this before we move on?
Nope, but you need to write it down, audit it, make sure you're following it or your people are following it. That way you know what you can change to improve.
Here's the goal of the first initial phone call. The goal is not to sell them right there on the phone. The goal is to what, Jacob?
Get to the on-site estimate. Get to them face to face.
Get to them face to face. 3 to 4 fast qualifying questions. You mentioned these in your the context of your business. I love what you talked about here. And I believe we use this similar qualifying format in our lead forms in the lead, but it's like, are you the owner? How many acres do you have? What is your goal of cleaning up your property or clearing your land? And then what area of town are you? Any other qualifying questions you want to add there?
No, but I love that you added the goal, because that's what you're going to sell them on. You're going to sell them on the emotions, what they want, not necessarily you or your service. You're going to figure out what their goal is, and then you're going to magically position yourself as the solution to that goal.
Okay, and you can do this in the sales process and in the lead form qualification process. We have some guys in the school group who are asking about qualifying leads better. And guys, these same principles apply. If you add a drop down of what is your goal by clearing your land, and if you understand whether they want it for aesthetics, whether they want it for new construction, whether they want to promote some other type of tree growth, then you are going to understand what is psychologically driving that buyer to want to purchase your services. So big push to put that in your qualifying questions in your ad lead form, and then also right here in the sales process. Okay, we're going to move on to step 3. 40 minutes in here. We got 7 steps to move through. So text templates and cadence. Let's cover these real quick. So missed call text template with 2-time options plus a firm number so that you don't overpay. We've covered the double dial and the triple dial rule, and then auto text as soon as the form is submitted. What do you want to add on this, Jacob?
Just actually do it. And giving them the time options makes it super easy. They're either going to pop back with, yeah, I'll take Friday at 1, or they're going to pop back with, neither of those times work for me. And they may suggest another time. But it really, again, keeps you in the lead. It keeps you in charge. It works. Just do it.
Okay, so lead comes in. What are you texting? When are you calling? What's your cadence? Hit me with the quick.
Yeah, day 1, I mean, they're getting 4 to 5 if they don't answer the phone, for sure. They're going to get the automated text. They're going to get a personalized one, brownie points if you send a video. And then I would be sending one like this, and with a little reciprocity, how you talked about in the video. Like, hey, I'm actually looking at this property you sent me. It looks like it's over here by Safeway. And I see you're looking to get this thinned out in the back and cleared for a home build. I would love to look at it so that we can make sure you don't overpay. I've got Friday at 1 or Thursday at 2 available. Should have said Thursday, Friday, but basically send something like that.
The key
And
point.
then you get nothing from that. I like the "Are you there?" Austin, are you there? It works really well because sometimes they're like, "Oh, I thought this was a bot." Yeah, I'm here. And it's like, what? But it works. It works.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. You told a story about porta potties and car wrecks in one of your follow-up sequence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, don't give yourself the excuse that, oh, they didn't respond to me right away. I didn't get a response from them. They're not serious. I've had it so many times where if I would have just thrown them to the wayside or just not cared about them, that I would have missed. And you would be surprised, especially when you're getting lots of leads. People are living real lives out there. They're in the bathroom, they're in the porta potty, and then they fill out your form because they saw it. They don't want to forget about it. But then, boom, somebody yells like, "Hi, where's Austin?" And you wipe real quick, you get out. I also had another one where the guy
Gross.
contacted me multiple days later, and he literally sent me the pictures of his truck, trailer, and machine flipped over in a ditch. And it's like, he was like, "Sorry, dude, just get back to you. Look what happened," right after I was filling out that form. Stuff happens to people in their lives. Give them the benefit of the doubt, take the responsibility as the business owner, follow up with them.
And you are not the most important thing on that person's to-do list. Remember that.
Yep.
They were scrolling Facebook, gross, sitting in the porta potty while they were taking a crap on the job site, and they saw that Jacob's form can help get more leads. So what does that dude do? He clicks on the form, and then he goes back to work, and he's thinking about the 32 different things that he needs to do at work. So if Jacob doesn't follow up like an absolute madman, there's a chance that he never hears again from that lead. And it's the same thing here. The homeowners, they've got lives, they've got jobs, they've got kids, they've got family members, they've got a million other people, things, apps, notifications trying to grab their attention. They raise their hand. Just remember that. And when they raise their hand, that means that they have either thought about this before or this is something that is interesting to them in the moment. And when they raise their hand, it's time to go. It's time to go to work. And that means follow up like crazy.
Yep. Unless you hate money, then don't.
What's that?
Unless you hate money, then don't follow up.
Yeah. Okay, step 4, 72-hour booking machine. We've covered this. Same day, next day, day 3 visit. You talked a lot about this. Give a price range on the phone, only if needed, but always framed it as we'll walk it so you don't overpay.
Yep, 100%. And to be honest, I didn't come up with this. I found this out through analyzing the guys who make millions more than the other guys. They have this standard. They aggressively push to get in front of the person and give them the estimate within 72 hours. So a lot of guys, this has happened to me. I cannot believe it. I do not get it. If you don't know your pricing, sit down for 4 hours and figure it out. If you go get in person at these people's property, give them the price. Give it to them. If you have to sit in your truck because there's a few variables you need to assess, look up, do some math, do it and then come right back. Take 5-10 minutes. But do not leave. Do not leave. The few exceptions to this would be you're meeting with some project manager for a multi-week, multi-month project, and things are going to have to be built out, logistics, whatever. That's the 1%. Do your thing. On all other jobs that are reasonable, give them the price right then. But within 72 hours, for sure. Because the same, like, you already did all this work and follow up to get a hold of them and then to get the on-site estimate scheduled. And then now you're going to go and try to remember to get them the estimate, and hopefully it doesn't get buried in their spam or buried in their text messages, or you have to now try to get a hold of them again. Get it done there. Get the yes or the no, get it while the momentum's going, get it while you're eye to eye, face to face. It's harder to say no to. And then the point that I love here at the bottom, 78% of people go with the first company to give them enough information to make a purchasing decision. That's just the gold. Why not that be you? If they're going to buy, if they're a buyer anyways, and 78% of them are going to go with the first person, why not that be you? Take those odds.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you don't have your pricing dialed in, I'm going to take a second to plug the free school group. We see this as the first and most foundational piece that you have to get figured out in any of these businesses, whether it's land clearing, tree removal, forestry, mulching. You have to figure out how to come up with your crew day rate. You have to understand how much it costs you to own and operate this business. This is 100% for free right here. We help you come up with your crew day rate spreadsheet. All right. So there's templates in here for guys who are just starting out. We talked about pricing. We talked about making the phone ring, lead capture, follow-up, site visit, closing basics, weekly rhythm, and scoreboard. Okay. Dial in your pricing as soon as you possibly can, because that is hindering your ability to have that conversation right there on the phone. What you saw Jacob do, frame it as a range, and then let them know that you will be giving them a price when you show up.
That's a good point. Vanguards are huge. That's kind of like 201 of sales and psychology, but I use this very heavily. It's like, hey, my goal today is to make the best decision for you. Make sure you have all the information you need to make a good decision at the end of this. I'm going to be 100% open, honest, and transparent with you. All I would ask is that you would be open, honest, and transparent with me and be willing to make a yes or no decision once you have all the information. Does that sound fair?
Love it. Love it. Love it. 78% of people buy from the first company that gives them enough info to decide. So going back to the beginning of this, if you're slow on your speed to lead, you are moving down in the line on your ability to get the person an estimate to sign off on. Okay, next, follow-up cadence. We've touched on this multiple times, but we're going to keep hammering it inside of this training. Okay, day 0, double, triple dial, voicemail, text. Get a hold of them. Do whatever it takes. Get another another Google Voice number. Call from a different number. Run this playbook again from a different number. Get a hold of that person. Days 1 to 2 calls a day, 1 text a day with value and proof. This is something that we took very serious this last year in Bear Claw. And that value and proof, if that person has not answered, they've already raised their hand, but we want to hit them with an email and a text that shows, hey, check out one of our recent fire mitigation projects. And what do we do in that email and text? We show them a very simple marketing psychological trigger, which is before and after. If people can visualize and resonate with what their neighbor did, and if the before picture looks like their current property, and then you show the transformation of the after, that is when they can start to really see it. So that email and that text is very powerful in getting people to actually call you back or actually answer your phone call. Okay. Days 3 to 7, 1 call, 1 text a day. Questions. You mentioned memes in your video earlier this week, Jacob. You mentioned that Hormozy and his team are testing this out as well. Have you tested this?
Yeah, I do it all the time. Like I told you earlier when it was like, are you there? Basically in place of are you there, I'll send the little Kevin Hart peeking on the other side of the door. Like, are you there? It works. I mean, because people it immediately like personalizes and kind of levels you. You're not like some weird corporate computer dude or a bot. You're like a person. That value proof thing, I thought of something interesting with that. I don't know how many of you buy things on Amazon, but you can pretty much quickly convince yourself if you're on the fence by just scrolling down to the reviews, and they always have like the top 3 reviews will have videos and pictures, and you're like, oh, yep, that's worth it. I was doing this with my kids last night. They wanted to look at some electric scooter. We were on Amazon. Now, of course, they're kids, but they're humans, and their psychology is very apparent. And so we scroll down, and the first review is like some kid with the scooter on his street, and they're like, "See, 5 star. Look at him. He's happy." Done. Like one review, they're done. They want it. They're sold. So I mean, I think we're just big. We're big humans, and that definitely works. And it could just be one little icing on top that makes them say like, "Yeah." And if you're doing that and your competitors aren't, and they're getting bids or they're trying to talk to other people, that could be the one thing that sets them apart.
It is the one thing. The one thing. When we talk about building brand early on, if you don't have any jobs, the most important thing you can do is one, get your Google business profile set up. We've already talked about that in past trainings. But two, the most important thing that you can do after every job is get a 5-star review. And that means you have to commit to delivering 5-star service. And guess what? That's going to make you a better business if you commit to those values internally. What do I have to do to deliver 5-star service for this customer on every single job? And if you keep that the driving North Star, you start to build brand. Why? Because people are happy to leave you the 5-star review because you went so far above and beyond the expectations that they had in their mind for what they paid you for. Okay. The little things matter. Cleaning up, leaving the site looking better than when you found it, being personal, talking to them, right? But your goal early on is to get those 5-star reviews. And when you do this, you start to build brand. And when you start to build brand, guess what happens to your ads? Right now, if you're out there and you're running ads and you're a guy who's starting out in the starter phase and you're running ads and you're not getting great conversions, my question for you is, how many 5-star Google business reviews do you have? My next question for you is, what do your social media profiles showcase who you are as a brand? Are they dead? Do you just have a couple photos? Or do you have photos of people who are either writing about how well it was to work or how good it was to work with you, or photos of before and after transformations with written texts of reviews? When you start to do that, you start to build brand, because people do what they see other people doing. It's very simple human psychology. And when you build brand, your ads start converting better. Your sales close rate starts to increase. But to Jacob's point, the trick is to implement a system where you can build those reviews in all of your emails and your text sequences, which is something Jacob and I are huge on in both of our businesses.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's going to be another. We always talk about these one things that separate you from your competition. Well, you keep doing all this stuff, eventually you're going to have 10 things that separate you, and you'll be the obvious choice.
Step 6, let's go to BAM fam. What does BAM fam mean?
Book a meeting from a meeting. By meeting, I mean any contact. The first time you contact somebody, the last time you contact somebody, they already hired you. Always book the next time you're going to talk with them. Otherwise, you're basically giving them the free card to ghost you and never talk to you again. Always set another thing on the calendar and send them an invite for it. Don't just be like, "Yeah, I'm driving right now. Text me and I'll get you set up." No, don't do that. Pull over if you have to. Set the next meeting, whether that's an estimate, whether that's when you're going to talk again. "Oh, I'm not ready for this project. We're trying to close on the property." Great. When are you closing? Next month? What about the 15th? Is afternoon better for you? I'll call you on the 15th at 2 p.m. Or you do the on-site estimate. You do everything you can do with sales and objection handling. They're like, "Hey, I just don't make decisions. I need to sleep on this." It's like, okay, totally appreciate that. What time tomorrow can we talk? 3 p.m. tomorrow? Okay. I'll send you an invite right now. Get that on the calendar. It keeps them front of mind. It makes it very hard for them to ghost you. I can't say anything except, and this is way beyond me. This is way beyond land clearing. if you do this in land clearing, you're guaranteed to do better than 99% of people. But this is huge in business in general. Bam, bam.
When you realize that the majority of people who are middle class, upper middle class, or upper class, there's a good chance they have a corporate job or they work in tech and they're a high level executive or, you know, a high level management position in their business. How do they run their day? They run their day off of a calendar. And this is the one thing, maybe the one thing I took away from working at HP in my 20s. Look, I'm a blue collar guy. I grew up stamping concrete in the summer. I didn't know what the heck a calendar invite was. And most of you who are listening to this, if you're an owner operator, you probably can resonate with that. What the heck's a calendar invite? Why should I send it? Well, here's why. Because the majority of people who you're selling to operate off a calendar. And if you don't get on their calendar, it's not on their to-do list. It's that simple. So a quick hack is when you're on the phone and you book that meeting, send them a calendar invite, whether that be through, if you're in owner ops and you're using Ops OS, which is Go High Level, if you're on Jacobs Land Clearing Growth Program and you're using Go High Level, those will send the calendar invites and remind people of them. But the simple way to do it is, if you don't have any of those systems, is just use Google Calendar. Go into your calendar, click on Google Calendar, click add invite, and then add their email. And then it sends them an invite and they accept. And when you get on it, on their calendar, you have a much better chance of them showing up to the meeting.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, next, scorecards and hiring help. What gets measured gets managed, very simply put. So whether it's you doing sales or whether you hire a sales rep, create a weekly scoreboard. Make it easy for them to understand how fast they are calling the leads. Make it easy to understand who they are getting in contact with versus who they are not getting in contact with. Make it easy to see how many estimates they've actually sent in comparison to how many leads have come in. Make it easy for them to see how much revenue they have won. When you hire salespeople, they're driven people. They're usually driven by the number. A lot of them are money motivated, but some of them are just success motivated, and success looks like growing that number. So show them the revenue, give them an easy way to track it. And then finally here, you talked about this in your video, hire somebody, whether it be your aunt, a VA, a spouse. If it feels like it's getting overwhelming, it's time to hire. I'll never forget, and I'll share a story here before you jump in and share the story about the aunt who prints money. But a friend, and I've had him on the podcast, Chris Berg, if you're listening to this, thanks for all your help, guidance, support early on. Very successful serial entrepreneur. He actually got his start in sewer and water down in Denver. They did excavation business for repairing sewer lines. And when I was solo owner operating, starting Bear Claw, he checked in with me one week, said, "How's it going?" I'll never forget. I was on the job. I got inside my truck. He had sent me a voice memo. I listened to it. I sent him one back and I'm just like, dude, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Like, we're making money, but I'm doing the job of like 3 people right now. And I'm just working consistently. Calling, answer the phone. "Hello, this is awesome." You know, skid steer operating in the background. And he was like, "Just go hire somebody part-time to handle all the back office stuff." And at that point in my business journey, it felt like such a hard thing to do. And it felt like such a hard thing. I don't know if I can afford to pay somebody $25 an hour for this. But he looked at me. He was like, "Let's look at your volume." So we looked at it and he said, "You have the volume and your business can afford that. So do it." And I was like, "How?" This is before I like hired anybody in the business. And he's like, "Just go find somebody in the community already who wants a part-time job. Figure it out." And to hear that from somebody who had built I think he runs about a $15 million a year e-commerce business now, somebody who has built multiple successful businesses, was like, "I'm the bottleneck. I'm the one overcomplicating this as an owner operator. I just need to go follow the playbook that other successful entrepreneurs use and hire and delegate and pay other people to do the things that are bogging down my time. So then I went to every single coffee shop. I just asked everybody behind the bar. I'm like, hey, I'm hiring for somebody back office. Let me know if you know anybody interested. And the second one I went to, the girl behind the barista was like, yeah, I would be interested in that. So I was like, okay, sweet. Like, can you do an interview? So we did an interview and I hired her for 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week, $25 an hour. And she handled all the back office stuff. Now, what did that do? Freed me up to focus on delivering 5-star service in the field and to go continue doing sales and estimates. She handled everything back office. And that was
So
the first big unlock.
two super cool things that you mentioned there that I just want to highlight. When you went asking, you said, "Do you know anyone?" That's a really nice, like, not too in your face way to ask people for stuff. Is like, instead of asking them directly, it's like, "Hey, do you know anyone who could benefit from this? Do you know anyone who could?" And then you're kind of like asking them without asking. 'Cause some people don't like, they feel pressured when they get asked directly. Now, at some point, you want to use that to your advantage way down the sales process. But initially, it's way less alarming if you're like, "Do you know anybody who may be interested in this?" And then if they are, then, like you said, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested." Or they may know somebody, and then that just creates the chain rolling. But the other thing you mentioned, your resistiveness or your worry or your fear of that hire is huge, and it's majority of people feel that way. But you hear it time and time again, and you just explained an example of it. People who have gotten to the other side, they know that to be true, and some of them jump in and do it out the gate. You just experienced this with the gentleman that you helped, where he, from the rip, hired the positions that he knows he needed. And guess what? He got to from zero to where he's at now, multiple seven figures, faster than most guys do in years, because he did the things that we're all going to eventually do. He just did it right out the gate because he already knew it needed to happen. And then you can say, well, it's more expensive out the gate, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but he made more money out the gate. And he knows that. So that's where, like, if you're spending time listening to us blab on this call, take what we're saying and use it and fast forward your success instead of roadblocking yourself with excuses.
Man, that's such a good word. And I know sometimes, guys, if you're listening to this, it can feel like we might be up here preaching whatnot. The goal of this thing is simply to help you guys with your business. Like, I started the Owner Ops podcast with the premise to have a good excuse to interview other people who were smarter than me in areas of business so that I could be willing to take their advice and go implement and take action to grow my business. And my theory was that if I could interview people in a public format, then some of you who listen to this could get some value out of it as well. My encouragement, though, is not to be the person who just sits and consumes content. If you're thinking about this, like if you want to make this happen, there's a good chance that that feeling doesn't go away. You know what else is true? It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. And once you accept that it's going to be really hard and you understand that this is going to be very uncomfortable, I just have to take action on the things that people who have gone before are sharing that works, then things start to get better. The business starts to grow. Jacob, you pay for coaching all the time, right? With acquisition. You just follow their playbook. And that's what I love about you. You don't consume. You probably go pay them for the same content that you could watch them on YouTube, but they give you the playbook and you go take action on it. And then your business has grown. In 5 years, you've grown a nice, sizable business. And the reason why I wanted to do these consistent live streams with you is because, one, you really genuinely care about your clients and you genuinely care about helping them grow. And in turn, that has helped your business grow. And if you're going to continue to listen to this podcast, if you're going to continue to listen to these land clearing live streams, we are going to bring our best. Okay. You can probably see, like, I've fumbled a little bit here on the display of this thing, but I can guarantee you that I will take an action step to get better for next week. When we started this thing, we didn't even have a slide deck. Okay. We're just going off the rip. But my goal is to provide as much value to you if you're an owner and operator to grow your business. All right. So we're going to continue to keep doing our best. My encouragement, though, your next 7 days, here are your action steps. Jacob, you want to cover these?
Can you make it big?
I can sure make it big. There we go.
There it is. All right, next steps, take action. Install the script. The script we went over, 1 to 2 sentences. Text templates. There's apps that do this. Phones now let you do this. So whether you're using a CRM that you're paying for or you just have your phone, you can do this either way. Have it saved in your notes. Have it saved in there's apps that allow you to have text preloaded within your iMessage or within whatever you're using. Put them in there if you're not using a software. Have it ready so that you can text people quick off the rip. Use the script. That way you know what's working, what's not working, whether it's you or multiple salespeople. And if it's just you, then you'll have something to give once you make that hire. Implement the 72-hour booking machine and 10 to 15 touch cadence. Guys, just do it. Try to get every qualified person an estimate in 72 hours and watch what happens. 10 to 15 touch cadence. The average time to contact is 48 hours. So don't sit here and tell me you're good at sales, you contact your leads. I have analyzed thousands and I've gone to places where they've analyzed millions. Hit them fast, hit them often. Don't give yourself the excuse of 1 to 2 calls, 1 to 2 texts. 10 to 15. Put that number in your head. 10 to 15 before I would even think about giving up. Then pick one person and tracking tool to call all inbound leads, track, and follow up. The quick story on that, a guy came to acquisition.com who was closing 60% of leads. Not 60% of people he got in front of, 60% of somebody who interacted with an ad or a website, which is a staggering number. It's kind of unheard of. And they asked him what he was doing. He said he hired his aunt for $60,000 a year to do nothing, no matter if she's sleeping, cooking, cleaning, having fun. Lead comes in, she calls within 60 seconds. That was the one thing that allows him to close 60% of leads and do 8 figures in a home remodeling company, which is not a crazy ask. He was getting like 2 to 3 leads a day, but it was worth paying 60 grand for. Imagine what you could pay somebody part-time, what you could pay a VA, what you could pay, whoever. This was the first step I made in my business. And what was neat was basically I got to the point where I couldn't handle all the leads. So I was like, hey, I need you to filter, qualify these leads, book them on my calendar if they're qualified. Within about a month, I had 10 calls a day and I couldn't do anything else except take sales calls. So what was the obvious next step? Hired a salesperson. Our business, that was the first year our business grew from basically a couple $100,000 to 7 figures just by that one move. And it would be even easier to do in LandClear. And the only reason I know that is because I've seen it.
This is why we get fired up about this stuff, because we've seen it work. I've seen it work in my business. Jacob has seen it work in his business. Jacob has seen it work with the people he is running ads for. I have seen it work for people like Colby, who we have helped grow the business. The first thing when Colby, a tree removal business owner, approached me in May of 2025, he came to me and he said, hey, I want to add some land clearing machines and do fire mitigation. And what we realized in the first call working together was that his pricing model was broken because he was operating off of the previous owner who had built the business. So we fixed his pricing model first. And I believe that this is so unbelievably important, and I want to hammer this home. Sales are so unbelievably important, but if you don't have a pricing model first, you're going to be selling jobs that are unprofitable. And so the next steps here are to take action. We want you to install the script, the text templates, implement the 72-hour booking, 10 to 15 touch cadence, pick a tracking tool so that you can call inbound leads fast and then track follow-up. But If your pricing model is broken, you're going to be selling unprofitable jobs. And so this brings me into the last slide. For those of you who want to get a spreadsheet, the starter version of the system that we have built here at Bear Claw, the system that Jacob is coaching a lot of his clients on, when you realize that it's all the same principles and you need to block and tackle in very specific areas, you need to get your pricing right. You need to call your leads fast. You need to follow up with them. You need to sell, and you need to deliver 5-star service. Then business becomes easier. So we've got a ton of free resources right down here in the school group. You can join for free, school.com/ownerops. I'm going to go over here real quick, and I'm going to show you behind the scenes because we have not done this quite yet. So we give away a spreadsheet here. This is called the starter snapshot right here. When you join the school group, you're going to get access to all this. So we help you set a 90-day revenue target. Where do you want to be in 90 days? Let's start there. What's your average job size right now? Great. Then let's go define your pricing. We help you define how much it actually costs you to operate, and then how much you should be charging based on the margin that you want to add in there. Then we give you a Google Business Profile launch checklist. Guys, if you don't have a Google Business Profile yet, you need to make sure it's optimized and set up at a location listing, okay? Here's a checklist for you. It's for free in there. Review requests. We talked about it in this video a bit. To build brand, you need 5-star reviews. This is how you can track this. We have a proof before and after post template. We also covered this a bit in our email sequence conversation here in the sales conversation. This will actually help you create a before and after proof post template that you can post to Google Business Profile. You can post to Facebook, Instagram. When you fill out this right here, this generated caption is going to automatically be created. We're giving you the tools and the resources to succeed. All you have to do is take action. We've got a very, very simple tracker. If you don't want to spend the money on things like Jobber or Go High Level, which is what Jacob and I run our systems off of, then just use a spreadsheet, and we give you the template right here. We give you the 14-day follow-up tracker. We give you sequences right here to use. We give you job walk, site visit sheets, checklists to use. Owen, who generated $37,000 in his first month of a land clearing business, we worked together for 90 days before his launch. And he told me this was one of the most important things he took away from working together. If you haven't listened to his podcast, we kicked off season 1 where he shares his story about building that business. Go listen to it if you want to learn more about this. But this will help you stay on track on your job walk sheet. Then we have this scoreboard, right? Track what you need to track in the business. What gets measured gets managed, whether it's you or whether it's someone else you hire. We need to track the right metrics to understand if we're moving in the right direction. Then finally, put that weekly plan together. When are you going to do sales in your business? Are you going to allocate a full day a week? Are you going to allocate morning time? You got to allocate evening time. Write something down and commit to it. I hope you can hear it in my voice. Our encouragement and our reason for doing this is to encourage you guys to grow your business in 2026. All right. And then finally, if you're generating cash, you got to understand if you're generating profit. Very simply put, we give you all this inside the school group. You can jump in school.com/ownerops, SKOOL.com/OWNROPS. Okay, Jacob, anything else you want to add before wrapping up this episode? Does anybody else have questions?
Troy asked a question. I think he's referring to Zapier, if I had to guess right. Let me know if you think that is kind of what we're looking at there.
Yeah, Zapier. So what did you say to use for link to let me know? Yeah, so Zapier, you can set up an automatic text notification. I believe Zapier is like $29 a month for their basic plan. It's spelled Zapier. Think of Zapier as glue. Zapier is the Elmer's glue that attaches all the other softwares together. It's an automation tool. So if somebody fills out a form on your website and you're using a WordPress website, you can connect that website to your phone and send the data that is pulled from the form over to your phone. Now, that's the very simple and basic way to do this. And I recommend you do that if you don't have a system in place.
Yeah, and if you're going to use the sheets from OwnerOps, you can zap straight into the sheets too. And that's how I started both my businesses, doing
Same.
exactly.
Yep. And you're backing up the lead contact information, right? You you're taking down, or excuse me, you're cutting down on manual time for data entry, from answering the phone, trying to get their name, their email, their phone, their address, all that stuff. You can just capture that in your form on your website, send that over to a spreadsheet, and send you a text at the same time. And then you're accomplishing all of these things that you would be doing manually with software and automations.
Yeah, and 5-year future you would pay you thousands of dollars for that list, because you can then use that list for retargeting, re-engagement, remarketing, lists for audience, custom audience building. 5 years, I mean, in most places, 5 years, stuff can grow back. Like, you could re-get all the customers you had and make more money from them without having to spend any. Lots of good uses for that.
And let's dive into that for a second here. Not only is it valuable to have the list of the direct customers who have filled out your form so that you can call them back years from now, or send them text, or send them marketing campaigns, but you mentioned remarketing. For someone who knows nothing about ads, why would that list be important for specifically what you do?
Yeah, so like, if you have a lead list when you come to us, which you should, we can immediately market directly to those people, but we can also immediately market to a lookalike audience, meaning people like those people, which is huge, because if you can give Facebook and or Google that data of like, hey, here's all the people that have been interested in my services or that I've worked with in the past, find more people like that. They're very good at that. And it's gonna fast forward your optimization for your ads, and you're gonna get more leads for less money.
Fantastic. Anybody else have any other questions? Anybody have any questions before we wrap this up? Any questions, post them in the chat. I will stick around for one more minute here. If we don't get a question here, we will jump off, but we have done that the last couple of weeks. We've jumped off and then a couple questions have come in. Guys, what questions do you have? I'm happy to stay on. Jacob probably has to get to the rest of his day here, but if you have questions, post them right here. I will stay on until 8:19. What questions do you have? No questions? Everybody's making money? That's great. Shut this thing down, Jacob.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, man. Hey, y'all have a good week. Don't forget, work hard, do your best. Never settle for less. We'll see y'all next week, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Central. Land clearing live streams. We're talking all things getting leads, winning jobs, putting systems in place that can help you scale. 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Central. See